AI is here, and it's certainly here to stay. The question is, which role will humans play here? And we have an expert backed by popular demand with us here today. Hello and welcome, Marc Inzelstein.
Hello, Neil. So good to be back with you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for making the time again. Of course, when now people say, look, AI is taking over step by step. I see my buddy who's a graphic designer massively affected. I see my person who's working in bookkeeping massively affected. And people often say, look, it looks like the whole human aspect of the business is slowly but steadily becoming less relevant and less needed. So, what is your take on that? Are these people right or are they wrong?
I think they're partially right and partially wrong. I'd say they're right in the current experience of AI because it's a baby. And like anything, and we're babies with AI as well. So we're jumping in, we're trying to figure it out. We want to get more done. We want to get more answers, have better analyses. And so I think in the short term, yeah, there's definitely dangers for jobs replacing humans. The question really is that the optimal way to go? Because the way I see it is that AI has tremendous potential to augment our humanity and to augment the human side of our jobs. So if I can just take a step back for a quick sec and talk about a paradigm that I talk about in my book, Essential Leadership, which is that even before the advent of AI, for the last 100 years, even longer since the Industrial Revolution, we've moved from being human beings to human doings. And what I mean by that is we want to do more, faster, better. We're always after
Mm,
productivity, about achieving. And we become trapped in what I call the do, have, be trap. We want to do more, to have more things, to be whatever makes us happy.
hmm
But we think we need to be happy to be fulfilled. And that's backwards because it keeps us on a hamster wheel and it creates all sorts of stresses in our bodies, in our systems, in our organizations. It leads to burnout, and it leads to a lot of unhappiness, quite frankly.
hmm
That do have be is, I think, a mental distortion, and I think we need to step out of it and and reverse it to the being, which is to be, do have. When we start with who we really are, our core values, our principles, who we are in our hearts as human beings, when we be differently, when we be who we truly are, then we act from that place. So we do from the place of being, and we have the things that really matter. AI in that context has become an extension of that endless doing. So it's a danger in that sense. So if we implement AI without this understanding, we have to revert to our being first. We really put ourselves in significant danger. But if we revert to being and we start with the place that's most important inside of us, our values, our humanity, AI can become incredible. And I think there's a place for greater humanity as AI liberates us from a lot of the busy work that we don't need to be doing anymore.
Yeah, excellent. But now people say, okay, this place of being who I really am. When people say, look, I try to be there. However, when I want to be who I really am, I always meet the reality of there are bills to pay. There are pressures I simply have around me. There are expectations I have to fulfill. If I
Yes.
say I want to be who I want to be, all of these pressures suddenly can't be fulfilled, and probably I can't pay my bills. So how do I balance this right to say, on the one hand, I want to be who I want to be. On the other hand, there are certain circumstances where I simply have to fulfill expectations, probably for myself or from others.
Yes, that's a great question, Niels.
Thank
What
you.
you're really saying is we have to meet reality. And meeting reality can pull us away from the things that matter most to us, from who we are, from what really matters to our hearts, our souls, our spirits. I find that to be a false dichotomy in the sense that we actually are much better equipped to meet the challenges of life when we are resourced in our true being, in our inner resources. Humans have much more inner potential than we know, much more. But the stress in our minds, the constant activity, the constant reaching for that next achievement keeps us from connecting with that true power inside of us. So, in fact, when we take the time, we can pause and reflect and take some quiet time and go inside to find out who we really what matters to us, we are much better equipped to meet the realities of the world as they are not easy.
Absolutely. When now people say, look, I am on the leadership side here, and when people say it should become increasingly important, I see more and more businesses cutting down even on leadership levels. I'm sitting here, and this is one of the questions which, when I prepared for this interview, received a lot that people said they are not addressing it openly because they are too scared to say it, but they say, how can I make sure that when suddenly the cuts arrive, I'm going to be on the side where they say, well, we will keep you even in the age of AI. So how as a leader can I adapt that I say I'm going to be attractive enough for the organization to still keep me in place?
Well, that's a really good question. And I think the first thing is to recognize that with what's happening, there's a lot of fear that's generated. Fear is the enemy. When we act from a place of fear, we're at our worst. Now, I'm not saying fear is not real, and I'm not saying we shouldn't feel it because when it arises, we have to deal with its reality.
Hmm.
But our first step is to move beyond fear towards hope. Understand there's always solutions out there. There's always solutions, but we have to be in a place of confidence to access our solutions. So if we're acting from a place of saving myself or not being part of whatever cuts may come, we're going to lose our ability to be creative, to be engaging, to do things that are going to serve the enterprise and serve whoever our bosses are in a meaningful way. So we have to find, and there are many ways to get there. We have to step beyond fear into looking at our core competencies. Who am I? What can I really do well that no one else can do well? Reaching out to other people and serving the enterprise, meaning if you look to serve what's the bigger picture, what does the company need from me? What does my team need from me? I've seen that across my 25 years of doing this work, is that when you look at the bigger picture, you serve the bigger picture, you are setting yourself up for success because you're actually stepping beyond yourself rather than thinking about, what's going to happen to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think we can consider. I remember when I was 10 years old, they told me, oh, all of this work will be done by computers. That was in the
Yes.
1980s, 1990s. Looking forward, 40 years onwards, we're still all here and we're actually more busy than before. So, can we say, even when we now say there might be a certain dip, new jobs will arise, in your opinion?
I think definitely new jobs will arise, and I think they're going to be more human jobs. Right? AI is going to help us do more analysis, bigger productivity, help us understand and process information, find potential solutions. But if you really think about what really happens, then when the magic happens in an organization, it's because people, humans, me and you and others, sit together in a room, and our minds connect, our hearts connect, great ideas emerge. And that creativity, I think, is purely human. And when we have more time for that creativity, more time to coach one another, to listen to one another, share ideas, to generate collective intelligence, which I don't think AI can do. AI is brilliant, but it can't have that level of creativity that the human being can have. So I do think there's a bright future there as we leave place for the human genius, which is still caught up in too much busyness and too much doing. So there's tremendous potential there.
Absolutely. And I think we are going to we're going to go deeper on that in the future episodes because we're going to have more talks with you. This is actually a series of 4 episodes. We now talked about leadership in the age of AI, and we're going to talk about why brilliant executive teams underperform in our next episode. So stay tuned for this episode. There's only one thing left for me to say. Mark, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Niels, as always. Terrific.